Welcome to the Fitness and Nutrition Simplified podcast, where we take all the confusing, conflicting information and break it down so that you can live your healthiest, strongest, most energized life. I'm your host, Brian Fitzsimmons. Let's get it started. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Hope everybody had an amazing weekend. Let's jump right into it. But today we're going to be talking about three different things. One is the conversation around body weight, body image, and everything, and how it really needs to change. Two is the basics when it comes to staying healthy, dropping weight if you need to, gaining strength. Basically, the things that everybody forgets about. And number three is body type training, what it is, how to do it, and all of the details that are surrounding it, why it's so damn popular, and all this other stuff. So before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about what's been going on lately. I'm coming in hot after a workout because I forgot my headphones at home. I committed the cardinal sin. I didn't check, and not great, because I have a backup pair, which I highly recommend to everybody, but definitely get a better backup pair than I got, because I got a pair of J-Labs, the J-Lab sport ones that like hook around your ear that are wireless. I think that they're marketed as running headphones, but it's basically a sad excuse to pawn off this, like, I think they were like $70 too, and you cannot hear anything because it's like, oh, it's for your safety or whatever. And then when you turn that feature off, it doesn't change anything. So $70 for a crap product. Don't go J-Lab. We're all better than that. I talked about it when I got the Power Beats Pro. Like, there's nothing better. But having a good backup pair, like even those cheapy pairs of Skull Candies produced a better sound. And as long as you got the wire to go with it, it's like better than nothing. But yeah, not a great workout because of that. No, it actually was a good workout. I can't lie. Now that I am actually on a diet break right now, upping the calories a little bit, my body's happy. What I'm not happy about, though, is the finale of Valhalla, Vikings Valhalla, that I mentioned a couple weeks back, or no, last week I think I was talking about it. And not that it wasn't good. I think that was one of the better finales that I've seen. I won't say ever seen, because some were pretty good. It's weird because I kind of compare it to Game of Thrones because it's in the same sort of genre. So when we're talking about that, I was never satisfied with any Game of Thrones season ending. So the fact that I was satisfied with this one was a good sign. Awesome battles that I was waiting on, and they did not disappoint. And now that that's over, on to the next one, which is Reacher. It's the next installment of Jack Reacher, the character. I think it's Tom Clancy. I'm not 100% sure on that. But the thing that pulled me in was Alan Ritchson. For anybody who doesn't know who Alan Ritchson is, he was actually, fun fact, because I know there are some people that know where I'm going with this, but before he got kind of famous, he was on American Idol. And if you look it up, you can see, actually, I guess I'll put it in the show notes. You could see when he was on American Idol, he serenaded Paula Abdul, and I think he got a golden ticket, or he went to Hollywood or something. I think he did. And yeah, he just seems like a really cool guy. But his claim to fame before this was Blue Mountain State. For anybody who's not aware of what that is, it was this show back on Spike TV. I'm not even sure if Spike TV is still around, but it was on Spike TV, and it was kind of a mix between not Friday Night Lights. I guess it was like a college football version of American Pie. That's probably the best way I could put it. And with the production and acting quality of the American Pie spin-offs, not the actual core series of American Pie, if you catch my drift. But Alan Ritchson was possibly the best part of that entire series. He played a coked out, possibly homosexual, jacked out of his mind linebacker for the top football school in the country. And basically they kind of took that and ran with it. And a lot of funny stuff ensued. So if you're into that sort of thing, I recommend going and looking up Blue Mountain State because it was great. Just don't watch the movie because that was a slap in the face to the entire thing, because they were looking for handouts and they actually were trying to get funding so badly that they were taking like donations from kids in college and like, I guess, people that had money to spare. And the deal was you contribute money, you could be in the movie. And it just resulted in not a well done movie, in my opinion, my humble opinion. But other than that, the only other thing that's really an update is the fact that I've been sucked into Real Housewives. I've probably brought this up before, but my girlfriend, it's her stress relief. So I'm kind of always getting exposed to it while I'm cooking dinner or while I'm answering people's DMs or whatever. It's always on television because it's her form of stress relief. So naturally, I got very invested. I started watching, and I won't say I'm hooked. I'm just intrigued. Like, we just actually, now we're on the reunion of the most recent season because there's a new one about to start up. If it hasn't already, I'm not 100% sure. But last season, as of right now, March 10th, 2022, that's the reunion that we're on, the most recent one. And it's just been eye-opening as to why people feel the way that they do and like why the conversation around body image and weight loss is so messed up. Because if a lot of people around the world are watching this and hearing stuff that gets like word vomited out of these people's mouths, it makes a lot of sense why people's images of themselves are so skewed and why there's so many unrealistic expectations. I mean, you got the main characters they've all been under the knife for elective plastic surgery, whether that be liposuction or a tummy tuck or a facelift or any of this stuff. And they're projecting an image that's just not attainable. So it's like when people want to go on their weight loss journey and they don't look like these people on their best day with all their makeup and all of the stuff that gets done to them, then they get a little bit of a letdown. And it's like, it's not good. And if we're going back, I think it was season 2 or 3 where Caroline was having a conversation about her daughter and more specifically her daughter's weight. For anybody who doesn't know, Caroline's the redhead. Questionable mob ties. But the conversation was about her daughter's weight, and it was brought up, and I forget how they framed the question, but it was along the lines of like, how do you tell your daughter that you love her even though you tell her all the time she needs to lose weight? And she's like, she couldn't even answer. She's like, well, why am I going to tell her I love her when when I know she needs to fix this weight problem? And it's like, that's not the that's two separate conversations. People tie their image or the image of their kids to their self-worth. And it's like, body image aside, that has nothing to do with that. And it's weird how these things get intertwined and it really messes with people's heads. It's not right, because even if somebody is struggling with their weight, that doesn't mean that they deserve any less love or any less respect or any less just decency from people, because we all started somewhere. And if you were lucky enough to not have to go through that, then you're lucky, because majority of people right now are struggling with their weight, and it needs to stop. Because there was actually, before I was hopping on here, I looked up, I was just curious, like how many people suffer with like disordered eating patterns, for example. And there was a 2008 study done by UNC, so University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and they found that 65% of women ages 25 to 45 had what they would consider disordered eating patterns. And this was like a survey, so it is you can poke holes in it and say, oh, it's self-reported. So it could be people saying, woe is me, or like really feeding into it. But on the other end, you got people that are like, I'm not that bad. So I think that it holds some weight here. And yeah, and it went on to ask even more questions, and it found other things like, 75% of women reported disordered eating behaviors or symptoms consistent with eating disorders. 53% of dieters are already at a healthy body weight and are still trying to lose weight. 39% of women say concerns about what they eat or weigh interfere with their happiness. 27% would be extremely upset if they gain just 5 pounds, and 13% smoke to lose weight. And if that's not a problem, I don't know what is, because especially the last one, like you're not just increasing, you are rapidly increasing your chances for cancer because of the way that you think that you look in the mirror. That's a problem. That is a gigantic problem. And as a person who, like, this is my job, like I try and help people to get into a healthier body composition and live their best life. Like, this is the last thing that you want. You don't want to make somebody so hyper focused on their weight that this stuff happens, because it's disordered eating. It's going to interfere with your life. It's going to interfere with your happiness. And that is not okay. It's not. The conversation needs to change. It can't be, I need to lose weight because I want to look good, or I need to lose weight because I want validation from my friends and my family. It can't be that way. It just can't. And the big problem is when people do put in the work, let's hope that it was sustainable. But like when people do put in the work, there's never really that point when you're like, all right, this is enough. And there's not really a shift of like what's next, because a lot of times I believe a lot of the reason that people regain the weight is because it's so tunnel visioned that you're like, okay, I'm going to get to this point and that's all I'm focused on. And then when you get there, it's like everything goes away. Like you feel like people feel like they don't have to keep going, or they feel like I reached this goal. I don't have to do anything anymore. I'm just going to chill, which leads to weight regain, which leads to falling into bad old habits and all the stuff that comes with that. I think one of the big things is, first off, getting to a healthy body weight is first and foremost for a lot of people, because say what you want, healthy at every size movement people, and they're probably going to lose their minds over this. I doubt they listen to my podcast, but there are health risks that are associated with too much adipose fat tissue on your body. Diabetes risks. There's joint problems that can arise because of the constant pressure. There's a bunch of things that can cause problems. So first is getting to that healthy body weight. Once you're there, and while you're working on that, another thing to focus on is your blood work. Is your blood work looking right? Is your insulin sensitivity improving? Are other metrics, like, sure, my girlfriend would rip me apart on this, but basically, is your doctor happy when he sees the blood work? That's what I'm getting at. Another thing to measure would be, like, once you got that healthy BMI, you got the blood work good, is energy. Do you feel like a zombie? Do you feel like you're about to faint because you're depriving yourself so much? Or do you feel like a new and improved version of yourself? Do you feel like you 2.0, loaded with energy, ready to crush the day? Because if you do it right, that's how it should feel. And just happiness with your overall lifestyle. Are you sacrificing going out with your friends and family because you're scared of gaining weight? Or do you give up, like, when you're on vacation, do you deprive yourself and not really get to enjoy it fully because you're worried about the residual weight gain potentially? If you are, that's a problem. And that could be like a mental goal to work towards, because that is another side of the spectrum that not a lot of people have experience with, which is getting back to normal eating patterns, getting back to normal ways of living without regaining body weight in the process, or minimizing that. And that's where things like reverse dieting come in and intuitive eating patterns come in. And that's the stuff that we got to start really thinking about once we've checked off this other stuff. And another thing that can help and it's very consistent with people that do keep weight off and do feel much better about themselves, is taking your mindset from, I need to maintain my body at this certain weight or this certain composition, and saying, I want to express strength, endurance, something in the gym, out of the gym, and really focusing on performance goals and really showing how badass you are, showing off how strong you are, how conditioned you are, and how much you can do with your body and with your new self. Stuff like that is what keeps you on track and keeps you healthy for the long term. That's the stuff that has people healthy and happy into their 70s, 80s, 90s, and they're still kicking, and they're not dependent on a walker. They're still out walking everywhere. Those are the types of people that get to that point. And if you want that for yourself, that might be the next step, is once you get to that healthy place, is then, like, once you get to that healthy body composition, start focusing on performance goals. And you can even do that while you're on your fitness journey to try and lose that weight. You can work on performance. And I do that with my clients. Is we're always trying to push the envelope when it comes to trying to get more reps, trying to get more weight, trying to improve all the time, because that's the instant gratification that really gives you that hit of like, oh, I'm making progress, I'm doing the right thing, is getting more weight, getting more repetitions, and seeing that you're making progress. And doing that for the long term, that's where the magic is. That's where we have to start shifting the conversation to, is what can I do with my body to to show myself that I'm healthy and to really enjoy life to the fullest. Not how skinny can I get so other people won't look at me and say, oh, that person's fat, which they're probably not doing anyway. Because that would just mean they're assholes. And even if they are doing that, then they're assholes. They don't deserve your attention. But before I go off on a tangent, more so than I already have, we'll cut it there. Do it for yourself. Don't do it for other people. And really focus on how you feel and what you can do with your body. Next is going to be, are you doing the basics? Because I've been getting a lot of questions on TikTok and just talking to people in the DMs and stuff, and they're asking questions that usually arise around this time of the year, because right around this time is when people hop off their New Year's resolutions. They're like, something's missing, and they usually turn to the quick fixes. They turn to the fads. They turn to all this other crap, and they'll ask questions like, what's better, fasted cardio or not fasted cardio? What's should I do body type training, which we're going to get to in a sec? Should I do intermittent fasting? Should I do this? Should I do that? And it's always these people that major in the minutia, but never really have the big rocks down. And that's what we're going to talk about right now, is the big rocks. When you're doing any fitness journey at all, that could be losing weight, that could be gaining strength, that could be building muscle, whatever. You need to have these down before we even have that conversation. One of the big ones that everybody across the board seems to be struggling with, like I'll say like 90% of the people I talk to don't have this down, is sleep. Are you sleeping 7 to 9 hours consistently and getting quality sleep? That means 7 to 9 hours uninterrupted, feeling refreshed when you wake up. And if you have like a watch or something like that, getting like a good chunk of REM sleep, which is like, it's not the only thing you're looking for, but when you get a good amount of that, that's a good indication that you're getting quality sleep. Because if you can't get to that point and you're restless and you're just like not quite getting there, those are the people that get a ton of sleep and just feel like shit in the morning. And that's usually a reflection of, it could be like a hormonal imbalance. It could be stress during the day, or just stress in life. It could be the fact that you watch the news right before you go to sleep. It could be being on your phone, like just your body's not ready to get to that level of relaxation. Another thing, once, let's say you do have sleep down, that's great. Another thing would be water, because if you're not getting at least half your body weight in ounces of water, then what are we even talking about here? If you're dehydrated, if you're not fully nourished with fluids, then your body's not going to operate at a high level. If you're doing fasted cardio with no fluids, that's like a setup to make you faint. That's a setup for something bad to happen. Or when you're in the gym, if you're dehydrated, you better believe you're not going to get a good pump. So if you're trying to build muscle and stuff, good luck with that. If you're running, if you're doing endurance work and you're not drinking enough, good luck with that. You're also going to suffer from terrible performance. And it's like you really want to worry about like if you should be eating 40% of carbs or 20% of fats or whatever. Focus on the big ones. Another thing is eating mostly whole foods. Most of us eat stuff that's out of packages, eat stuff that is loaded with added sugars, basically going by our kids' demands because kids are picky. They're a pain in the ass. They kind of drive the conversation sometimes when it comes to eating the food. So, and for people that don't have kids, it's a convenience thing. It's like most people are working their asses off. They don't have time to cook, which completely understandable. But don't expect peak performance if you're not going to at least commit to getting majority whole foods. Like if you're eating your kids' chicken nuggets and goldfish and that makes up 50% of your diet, there's no point in talking about if you should go keto or not. And then the last thing is exercising at least 2 to 4 times a week. This is another one where it's like people really want to maximize their time when they're in there, but they don't even get in there. Like they don't even get to the gym. They don't even go out for a run, but they're worried about like, what is the best time to work out? What is the best this, the best that? And it's like, they don't even go because they're so paralyzed. They have the paralysis by analysis because they're like, I'm not going to go if I'm not going to do it right. And there is no right. It's always good, better, best. If you're moving at all, if you're breaking a sweat, that's good. Don't let anybody tell you different. I know I shit on different things like group classes or CrossFit or burpees. All of that stuff is good. If you are moving, that's good. But there's always better and there's always best. So finding that along the way is good. Good. Finding your better and best along the way will happen because you're going to learn as you go, but you got to put in a good effort before you can put in a great effort. So getting exercise in 2 to 4 times a week is the last one. That's the big 4 rocks. Sleeping 7 to 9 hours, drinking at least half your body weight in ounces of water. So if you're 200 pounds, that would be 100 ounces of water. 100 ounces of water is roughly 5 to 6 bottles of water, like the standard size bottles. Eating mostly whole foods and exercising 2 to 4 times a week. Until you can do those 4 things, there's no point in asking about intermittent fasting, keto. What else did I list? Fasted or unfasted cardio, all this other crap that really does not make a difference. It probably makes like a 1% difference. So yeah, that's all I'll say about that. Get your big rocks down. And a lot of people would be surprised. Once you get those down, a lot of times you don't have to do anything. When you get like mostly whole foods, you drink your water, you sleep, you exercise, that takes care of 90% of it. You might lose all the weight that you want to just by doing that, which is great because it's like you're building healthy habits. You don't have to do anything more. What better solution right there? What better outcome? So focus on that stuff, not nail it down, and then focus on the other stuff along the way. And last but not least is body type training, because this was a specific question that I got, and I'm like, damn, this is still around. I guess because when I was a teenager, this got popularized by someone by the name of Greg O'Gallagher. Some of you might know him by Kino Body, or I don't know if he's done any other businesses since then. He probably has. But I mean, basically what the guy did is he popularized Kino Body, which is all the system is, from my understanding, is combining intermittent fasting with keto and then training minimal effective dose. So intermittent fasting, you're minimizing your eating window. And when you're eating keto style stuff. So basically you are jamming a ton of fat and protein in to a really small window, which means you're not really going to be hungry, which is obviously a good situation to be in. And minimal effective dose, which is getting to the gym 3 times a week, which is like the low end for his clientele, because he's usually preaching to like teenage dudes or like guys in their 20s, or like professionals that are trying to get back to feeling like they're in their 20s. And more times than not, when people dial the volume down and they don't go to the gym as much, they get better results. And this is talking to somebody that would be going to the gym 6-7 days a week, putting in a ton of work and getting in a lot of junk volume. When you pull them back and put them in the gym for 3 times a week and say, really focus on what you're doing, get like 3 to 4 sets per body part 3 times a week, you're checking all your boxes, and that is usually a setup for success. And a lot of people see very, very good results with that. But instead of just relying on principles like saying, hey, I do this and it works for obvious reasons, he basically made all of his marketing around what body type are you? Take this test and find out what body type you are and what exercises, what workout is best for you. When you get into that whole body type area where you're talking about, are you an ectomorph, a mesomorph, an endomorph, basically saying, are you skinny, are you medium, or are you overweight? There is zero credible research to show that any of that makes any bit of a difference. Nothing. There is literally nothing that has been shown to make a big difference when it comes to body type specifically. Body type training is kind of in the same camp as eating for your blood type. There's zero research behind it. It's a bunch of speculation on very early stages research that usually doesn't show a whole lot of anything. And this has been perpetuated for, 29? So going on 10 years, probably more than that. Because even if I caught it at 19, it was probably being pushed around for another 10 years before that. And it just, like I said, it's all principles. When you talk about body type training or blood type, eating for your blood type, or any of this stuff, it's bastardizing basic principles. If you follow principles, you could see all the results that you want and not have to suffer for the sake of trying to follow this method. Don't follow methods, follow principles. So, like I was talking about before, if you want to see really good results and you've been going to the gym 6-7 days a week and you're not seeing anything, dial it down to 3. You will be amazed at how good your body feels, because now you can recover, and you don't get results if you don't recover. So that is a principle right there. You can only work. The only way you're going to see results is if you put in enough work that you can recover from. If you tip the scale too far, you're not recovering, you're not going to get those results. So that's a case for minimal effective dose. Now let's talk about intermittent fasting and keto, which is the combo approach for Keno body. Basically, you have a calorie deficit that is very easy to follow because you are so stuffed on protein and on fats, and the carbs are low. So if you, for some reason, are very sensitive to spikes in blood sugar, your energy is now regulated, which is great, and I won't go there. So yeah, it's checking off all those boxes, which is why people are losing weight. Great. And because they're not in the gym as much, their requirements for carbohydrates are not as high because they're not putting in as much work. So you're not going to need as much fuel. Makes total sense. However, a lot of people, when they go on keto, they suffer from stuff like a keto flu, or they start eating complete crap and then their blood work goes to shit. So is it a perfect method? No. Is it effective? Yes. Does it have anything to do with body type? No. There is nothing to be shown that body type has anything to do with workout recommendations or nutritional recommendations at all. Now, if you happen to fall into that category of like endomorph, which is on the heavier side, and you have things like diabetes and things like that, then yes, if you're in a clinical population where you have some sort of issue that affects your metabolism, then yes, that's where you have to make accommodations. But to just say everybody that classifies themselves as an endomorph should be eating this way, that's complete bullshit. Not to mention that there is no definitive guideline as to what is like the difference between an ectomorph and a mesomorph and an endomorph. It's all self-reported. So you can have somebody that has severe body dysmorphia thinking they're an endomorph when they're really an ectomorph. So there's no subjectivity, or what is it? Objectivity. I always mix the two. There's nothing concrete to say, oh, if you're this percent body fat, if you're this weight, if you're this height, then you're this. So it holds absolutely zero weight. So follow the principles. Put yourself, if you want to like take your body to a different place, if your goal is to lose fat, make sure that you're working out 2 to 4 times a week. Make sure that you're in a calorie deficit. Make sure that you're getting those big rocks down, and you should be fine. If you're trying to put on muscle, make sure that you're in a slight calorie surplus, so we're not putting on extra fat for no reason. So 200 to 300 calories over your maintenance. Then hit your big rocks and work out 2 to 4 times a week, making sure that you're getting enough volume in to stimulate a change. And that's going to be different for everybody. That's where a coach comes in. It's tough for a beginner or somebody that doesn't have the education in that to really make a good call on that. But if you'd like to learn more on that, highly, highly recommend Hypertrophy Principles by Renaissance Periodization. Mike Israetel and Jared Feather and all the guys that contributed on that did a really good job. Great stuff. And if you want to improve your endurance, then go ahead and nail those big rocks. When it comes to your running, rowing, cycling, whatever you're doing, make sure that that volume is enough to elicit a change. Make sure that it's broken up in a way that allows your body to recover. Hire a coach if you can. And yeah, nail those big rocks. I think I already said that, but there's never enough. You can never say it enough. Hit those big rocks and that'll do it for you. You don't have to fall into one of these camps because that's what they are. They're camps. They want you to feel like you're different and like you're part of a group, which is great. Community is a good thing, but so cults are communities too. And some of these keto camps or intermittent fasting or whatever, all these camps operate like cults. So do your own thing, find what's right for you, and you can have all the success you want. It's really that simple. And if you need help, get a coach because that's what we're all here for. Okay, you could reach out to me, just email me, coachfits1@gmail.com. It's in the show notes, or find somebody that's a professional in what you do. For example, if you're trying to build endurance in cycling or running or anything, don't come to me. But if you're trying to get more toned and gain a bunch of energy, yes, I'm your guy. So yeah, me or somebody else. I'll cut it there because now I'm starting to ramble and I think we're right about at the time I wanted to, right at about 30 minutes. Awesome. Nailed it. All right. So hope you guys enjoyed the podcast episode. Hope you got a little something out of it. Feel free to share it with somebody if you think it can help them out. And I'll catch you guys next time. Go kick some ass. Thank you so much for listening in. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a 5-star review and make sure to go hit that subscribe button so that way you don't miss another episode of the Fitness and Nutrition Simplified podcast.